Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the tier list for set 7 right now. Just got released. It's going to be what I think of the best decks in the format currently for Standard, and also based on some results too. Mainly me, right? Mainly me. That's why you guys are here. If you want to just see results, you can go check out Fuzzy Paradox's new website, alright? But also we're giving away some free stuff with Bushiroad International. Go check the description for more details. You can win boxes. You just have to share with us what your favorite Vanguard or Weiss Schwartz experience, Bushiroad experiences has been, and we'll be reading out the winners sometime next week. It's gonna entries close at around December 26th, midnight LA time. So you got a couple of days left, and I'm gonna keep on reminding you. But yeah, go submit your stories. But we want to see, we want to see the stories, right? We like top decks as well. We would like to read those stories, but you know, we can talk about some bigger stories, some cooler stories. You might win some stuff, right? So with that said, let's start talking about the tier list. So, you're going to see that this list is divided from D to S, and there's a section where it's like A and A+. Maybe I should put it like S-. I don't know, right? But basically what this means is we kind of divide this tier list into 3 sections, right? Top section here is just the top 2, right? S and A+ are just really good decks. If I go to a tournament, I'm definitely going to consider these decks first, right? And then the second section is A and B, right? The next 2 here. They are decks that are still good. I probably won't play them. But, you know, if you take it to a tournament, you'll still do okay, right? You'll definitely do okay. Other people will bring them too. So they're not necessarily bad decks. And then the last section, C and D, they're just not great decks, right? Not great. And the reason why I give like two tiers for each section, basically because, you know, there's sometimes very slightly more impressive decks than others. Like maybe it's just slightly more consistent, but doesn't mean the other deck is bad, right? So that's why I've kind of separated into the 2. But spoilers, you're gonna see the majority of the decks in the A and B section. All right, that's just how it is, and that should be correct, right? That's just how the meta goes, right? First off, let's start off with Welstra. This is going directly into D. This is a terrible deck right now. Unfortunately, it's going to need some incredible support that is coming out in set 9. We saw some interesting ones from the reveals last night. So hang out for there. Maybe if you think it's going to be really good, you can go buy the parts now, because they're probably very, very cheap. I haven't really checked them myself, but because they're just not that great, hey, good time to get some stuff. On the other hand, Ava I think is an S tier deck, like straight up. Right? S tier deck. It's a deck that a lot of people, a lot of the good players have really picked up in Standard, right? If you are a veteran player, a lot of them have picked up the Ava deck just because it gives there's a lot of power there. It's very stable, very consistent, much more, like the pickup has been like way higher than has been in Japan. Japan, like in this era, was still playing a bunch of other different stuff. But if you look at the results as well, you definitely see Ava has just, once the PR got released in English, it's just shot up. It's been winning first, second, and then first place again, and then even more first. It's just been doing so well, right? And it's just a nice, solid, stable deck, and this is why it's just so good, right? It's just so good. Greedon as well has been doing well the entire season, but I actually rank it less than Ava. One of the best things about Ava is that it is a deck that does not require Persona Ride to win, right? It's not reliant on Persona Ride. That gives it an edge, because that means you don't have to always draw a grade 3 every turn in order to do stuff. Greedon is different. When it keeps on drawing those grade 3s, keeps on Persona Riding, it's gonna win, and then it's gonna win again, and then it's gonna win harder. But when it doesn't, it's kind of like lacking, right? It's not that great, but just by like, you know, it can just randomly get wins as well, and it's still, in a way, right? If we think about the rest of the meta with all the twin drivey decks, with all the Persona reliant decks, this is the Persona reliant deck, right? If you get the Persona Ride, you just do exceedingly well, right? Exceedingly well, and it has like a pretty decent hand when you do. So, you know, once it starts snowballing, it just gets crazy, and it's just still very, very strong. But again, because of that Persona Ride reliant weakness, I'm not a huge fan of it. So that's why I'm putting in the A+ section. Next we have is Heroes. I think Heroes is like a C deck, right? When we think of like a Welstra, it is an incomplete, like, kind of mess right now. It just doesn't really do anything. Well, it does want to do something, but it does it so poorly that, you know, it's it's there for a reason. Heroes is kind of different. It's just not a great deck right now. It does have a game plan. It does have things it wants to do, but so far, like, it's just so linear and so, like, you know, it's unfortunately the victim of a one set deck, basically, right? It's only been out for one set, so it's not going to be that impressive. It's not going to be that busted, right? So overall, I put in C, and, you know, we'll probably see it do well when more support is released. But that's pretty much it, right? Orfist, this Orfist I'm actually going to put in a B deck. When I think of the decks I want to put in A, Orfist kind of is like on the lower end. Like, if I was to pick between like a deck in A and B, right? I definitely pick the decks in A first, right? And Orfist is not one of them that I want to pick in A. One, it's kind of, it's not as, it is kind of Persona Ride reliant, okay? Because you want to Persona Ride repeatedly in order to be able to kind of get the extra orders in and accelerate your game plan really fast. But it also is kind of clunky as well, because you have so many moving pieces. That's why I don't like it. But at the same time, you know, when it starts going off, you make big columns. And if your opponent just doesn't have a hand that can, like, guard it, you kind of auto-win, right? But I don't know. It has a lot of weaknesses that I just don't like. So that's why it goes in B. And then Seraph. Seraph is a deck I put in A+. I've been playing Seraph basically the entire year. I feel like it's still very strong, except that more and more decks are getting freer and freer, getting more stronger plays. That, you know, Seraph it's getting harder to, like, lock down your opponent and keep yourself ahead, right? I still think Seraph can easily beat any of these decks in A and B, but, you know, when it starts fighting against the high tier decks, it's getting harder. It's getting harder. You're gonna have to find more creative and degenerate strategies in order to keep this, in order to keep yourself in position, right? So, Seraph I think is an A+ deck, and I think you know, people are wisening up to the deck, but you can still do well with it, right? Bev Saga. Bev Saga, I was thinking either it's like an A or a B. I think it is an A deck, right? Even though it's a 3 attacker deck, it still hits really big. When I think of, like, an A deck, right, I think I still have to be really careful of it when I play it with, like, a high tier deck, because if I just randomly don't respect them, they're gonna get, like, a 66k column or something like that, or a massive column, get a crit, and then I randomly die. And that can happen with Bev Saga. It's got a really sick early game. It can rush really hard, and then, you know, just pummel you in the face. And, you know, if you just don't have the cards, you can just randomly die. So you still have to respect the deck, but it still has its weaknesses, right? You know, you got to draw the spears, and you got to still, like, get some trick moons set up to make your columns really huge. So overall, I think it's an A deck, right? It's an A deck. Eugene, I think is like a C deck. I think it's better than Welstra, right? Just because you can actually do stuff with the deck, and the stuff it does is, like, at least half relevant, right? Getting rid of cards is good. Restanding the Vanguard is good. Yeah. So I think when you put it like that, it's already better than Welstra. So it's just a C. Maha Nirvana, I actually rank Maha Nirvana like an A, right? I think a lot of people would think, you know, it's got to be an A+, right? It's got to be S, right? But I actually think it's an A deck. It's just from testing with the deck, this was definitely one of my picks going into BCS, because I was going, you know, I could play Seraph again, or I could play it like a more interesting deck. But just every time I tested with Maha, it was just that short, like just slightly short of getting me where I wanted to be. Right, so because of that, because I put Seraph in A+ as well, I got to put Maha lower, right? And yeah, that's just what I feel from Nirvana, you know? That's what I feel from Nirvana. It can definitely win, but it's lacking. It's just lacking. I'm not Steven Lee enough, right? So I think it's gradually gonna drop lower and lower, just as time goes. I think by set 8, right, in Japan, like, no one is playing this thing. No one is playing this thing. And for good reason, too. I just think it's getting outclassed by some other deck that I think I'm going to talk about next, which is Overlord. Right, Overlord, this is basically... Overlord, I think, basically just replaces Nirvana. Right, that's just it. The new Overlord with the PR now that we've gotten is a better Nirvana. And this is actually an S deck. I think this deck is just so easy to play. It's so simple. Just does its game plan extremely well, and it just threatens with like huge amounts of power, restanding Vanguard that can restand again, right? Like you trigger OT from all the drive checking that you do. You do actually an extra drive check compared to Nirvana, which is crazy. You can just like straight up with the game. It's very, very hard to deal with the columns that, you know, not Nirvana, the Overlord deck can provide, right? Because, you know, it's not like it's not Persona Ride reliant, because you can still restand Vanguard and do your game plan without Persona Ride, but it's just so easy to get the Persona Ride as well. And because it's just that easy, your lines get even bigger, and then, you know, Halby comes out and he's just so free for no reason at all, and then it makes your columns hit like better than like better than just a one card guard. So it's just insanely difficult to play against this once it gets going. It's super bulky as well, versus like, you know, Nirvana, for example, which, okay, you get triple drive, you do get the ping, but, you know, your hand is like kind of jank. Sometimes it's like kind of fake as well, because there's so much weakness there. Like, it just doesn't have so much defensive power. While Overlord is just sitting, it's like he's got 10 hands, and they're all like 15k guards for no reason. So yeah, it's just I don't know. I would rather be an Overlord player. I think it's just straight up a better deck right now, right? Straight up to S+ as well, just because of the promo release. The other Nirvana, Jiva, this is a D tier deck. I'm not gonna lie. I think this deck just doesn't know what it's doing, and it doesn't do anything that it wants to do good, right? And, you know, it's so CB heavy. I am surprised that they haven't even released a counter charge. Like, think about it this way. By the second set, Nirvana got a counter charge, right? Because I think, is it Urja? Urja was from second set, right? While Jiva still hasn't gotten any good counter charge at all. And it just doesn't do what it wants to do good, right? If I wanted like a 4-attacker deck, I would play Overlord. If I wanted a 4-attacker deck, I'd play Nirvana, which is like a 5-attack deck when it wants to be. And then you can also count the ping one as like a 6th attack, right? So why am I playing Jiva? Even Eugene has 4 attacks now. So I don't know. I just feel like Jiva just isn't doing anything right now. We're waiting for more support. It is what it is. Dragon Tree is coming out. You know, it should have support for Jiva, so hopefully it's gonna get something good. And then, you know, it's just lacking like 1 or 2 good cards to make it like here or here, right? So yeah, I gotta place it in D. I really have to place it in D. I just don't see it, right? I just don't see it. Tamiyura is weird, right? Whenever I play Tamiyura, it just doesn't feel like an A tier deck. But whenever I play against a Tamiyura, it just feels like an A tier deck. So I think that the takeaway from here is that I suck. But, you know, I do think it is kind of P-Shot Lion, and it's like, the deck I'm gonna compare this to is like Flagberg, and I think Flagberg is better than Tamiyura, right? So I feel like this is like a B deck. This is actually just a B deck. You know, it did get support. It did get a PR recently, right? Is the PR out? Yeah, I think the PR is out, right? Or it's coming out very soon. To make it more consistent. But I guess it's sitting next to Orfist right now. If I was to think about, is it similar to Orfist? I think it kind of is. It can get kind of bricky, but then it can kind of snowball at the same time. The biggest difference between A to B is the consistency. I'm gonna just put this out there. If it's a consistent deck, it's likely gonna be an A deck. If it's less consistent, it's gonna be like a B deck. And based on that, yes, okay, I'm gonna put Tamiyura in B. All right. Next we have is Baro Magnus. I think Baro Magnus, ever since it got Amandine, it's just so cracked. Very, very strong. It can just high roll your opponent out of oblivion. At the same time, it is inconsistent though, but because it has so much, I guess the high roll is so strong, it brings it up to an A deck. I think this should be here. I think this is an A deck. I don't think it's any high though, because I think the high T decks, even on a high roll, they can kind of still either survive or just kind of beat the crap out of you at the same time and still have a decent chance at living, right? So I think Baro is like Baro is an A deck, right? I think Baro is an A deck. Bruce. So grade 3 Bruce and grade 4 Bruce. We're gonna kind of put these together because there is a split, and I do think straight up there is more grade 4 Bruce still going around than there is grade 3 Bruce. And I think the key thing the biggest difference between the two, right, is grade 4 Bruce does require more CB than grade 3 Bruce, but grade 4 Bruce still retains its power right now that it can kill you in 2 turns, while grade 3 Bruce can, right? But its kill power is less. If you want to kill over 2 turns, the kill power is definitely less than grade 4 Bruce. And if you are playing that strategy of trying to kill over 2 turns, then you should just be playing grade 4 Bruce, right? So I think this is correct. I think this is correct. Greedon. Greedon. I am tempted to put Greedon like here, but no, it's not. Greedon is the ultimate copium deck, but I actually think it's very good now. I think it's getting better and better. It's getting good. And I personally, this is my fun deck that I like to play. And I don't know if it's the bias speaking, but I think it's an AT deck. I actually think it's an AT deck. It's like bad Overlord, right? Or budget Overlord. Yeah, you restand, and then randomly hit OT, and then like you win, and then you restand again, right? And you're like, how do you get 3 restands? Well, how do you attack 3 times with Greedon? It's called get good, right? It's called get good, right? But you can't attack Vanguard 3 times, and if any of them is like, if you trigger well, you win. Like that's kind of it, right? You flip the top 2 cards of your deck, you flip them again, and then like, are they dead? Sometimes, right? Because they don't expect that, and then, yeah. It just comes down to the flip of the draw. Oh no, the flip of the trigger, right? So, but it's an effective way of playing. It'll randomly kill people like that. So okay, people... The difference between B and A was consistency, but it can consistently kind of do that. So I'm actually going to put this in A. Right, you can put the comments below and say how I'm crazy, but I'm just saying, if you find me at Worlds, I'm probably gonna be playing this deck. just a heads up. And if you lose to me playing this deck, I don't know, man. There's gonna be some pop-ups going, And the best thing is when you lose with Greedon as well, you just well, just how it is, man. I'm playing a bad deck. Dredge. I don't know where I want to put Dredge. Right? I think Dredge is probably like a B deck. It just when you think about the other Dark States decks, there's definitely better ones, right? Straight up, if you want to play like a high roll deck, you have Baro Magnus. If you want to play a deck that can kill people, you can play Bruce. Dredge is cool, right? You can get around Overtrees, that's a nice gimmick. You do 5 attacks. But overall, I feel like it's still a bit clunky right now. Wait for more support and it might shoot up, right? Next is Chaos. I'm really tempted to put Chaos in B. I think it is actually just getting better and better. But right now, I think I'll just put it in C. I think C is still where it's at. The next wave of support though, right? Set 8 support, this might be going up. This actually might going up somewhere. And it's just gonna get better and better. That's just how it is. Bastion, Bastion feels so bad recently, we don't have a ban list yet. We don't have the Japanese ban list, and also we can't run Dark Strain. But even if we did, I still don't think I don't think it's A tier material, right? It's definitely on a level worse. It can definitely kill any of these decks if it pops off well, right? But it's getting to the point where it's getting hard to like beat out like Avas and things like that, because there is more power going into these decks that it's hard to compete. That's what I want to say. So I think Bastion and B tier deck is correct. I think Graham Grace, we don't have enough support for it. We don't have the PR for it at all yet. So I think like a C tier deck. Same with Hexa Orb, and actually like MLB and PBO. I think just all kind of. I think PBO is better than these guys, but it's C tier. It's definitely dropping and dropping as like the format becomes worse and worse for them. Well, I actually think they should just be the same tier. Right? I wouldn't play a PBO deck right now. It just feels worse and worse. So yeah, that's where it belongs. Then Thegria is like very consistent deck in a way when you think about it. But compared to what we have now, I think it's definitely dropping off. I think it's definitely dropping off too. Like, I think a lot of players before, they liked it because it was consistent and drew a lot of cards, but nowadays, with you know, set 7 released and some decks getting some PRs, that idea is kind of gone because you can still get cards, you can still get bulky, but still have the offensive pressure and the ability to just do stuff on your first grade 3 turn that Thegrid can't. Right, so I think this is a B tier deck right now. So yeah, cool. Youthberg is an S tier deck, definitely an S tier deck. I mean, it's not as S tier as like a Steam Maiden deck. I think a lot of people were expecting that, and I keep on saying this, but it's still a strong deck. You can just push really hard with it and just pop off and just destroy people. And yeah, there's a reason why it's played so high. But you know, anything in the S tier can deal with it, I think, so it's not really that much of an issue, right? Moving on, so there's a lot of lyrical stuff here. I'm not really going to talk about the old lyrical stuff. I think they're all kind of, you know, not that relevant right now. I'm going to talk mainly about the lyrical 3 stuff. A lot of the lyrical 3 stuff is like good, like decent. Hazelites, probably Hazelite's one of the weaker ones. The green girl is Panda Girl as well, is like I probably wouldn't bother taking. But you know, we've seen these decks still do okay, right? I think I would class them mostly like here, and then Michu would be around like A or B tier, right? Let me put her for here, but I actually think Lutetia is an S tier deck. And you might be going, are you crazy? The deck is good, right? It restands, it has huge side columns. If it gets the bread girl, I think Nostria, the more you see that, the more unwinnable the matchup becomes for you, right? Because they're just gonna keep on cycling through their deck. They're gonna thin their deck. They're gonna put more orders in. The Vanguard's gonna withstand the moment they hit 3. The side columns hit massive. Yuika's like bounce them back. It's actually crazy. This is actually an A+ deck or an ST deck. But when I look at these, the decks that are in A+, I think Lutetia is like better than these two, right? I was on the verge of playing Lutetia for BCS, but you know, I went with my comfort pick, which was Seraph. But this matchup is like not as bad as you think it is, right? Like, okay, you know, Seraph rips cards from Soul, you know, you can get rid of their restanding stuff. But they can rush big time and kill you. So yeah, I think Lutetia is like a S tier deck compared to everything else. Giant Girl is like a C tier deck. Actually, I should probably move everything up. So these are probably like very low B tier decks. I guess Giant Girl is like it's like a C tier deck. Nah, maybe this is better. Right? Maybe this is better. Maybe I think this is better. Like this is probably better, right? And then what is next? There's a bunch of collab sets here as well. Let me take a look. A bunch of Yo is actually an A+ deck, right? Yo is a very strong deck. Not as strong as before. It was definitely one of the very high picks that you could pick before set 7, right? Like if you think about pre-set 7, right? These 3 decks actually don't exist. I know Lutetia does. So you've got an S tier where it's like Lutetia and Ava, and then like the A+ suddenly becomes like really decent because there's just like less better decks in them. Yo was definitely one of those really good decks. So that belongs in A+ for sure, I think. Any more? So Zorga. Let's kind of move a bunch of these. So, you know, Magnolia, Roroa. We've got the Zorga already. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna mix up between like Blue Zorga and Red Zorga. None of the Record of Ragnarok stuff is relevant. I don't think there's really any other Shaman King deck that I want to really talk about that's relevant. And again, Monster Strike. Who cares, right? Who cares? So, let's kind of talk about these last few decks. So Zorga is like, I actually want to put Zorga in A, right? It doesn't, for me, it doesn't really matter if it's Blue Zorga or Red Zorga. You just play the better one at the time. It is a 3-attacker deck, so it's similar to Bev Saga in a way, but it can get pretty tanky. It can get pretty tanky with this deck. compared to like Bav. Well, Bav can technically get pretty tanky too. Get some pretty good side columns compared to everything in B. I would actually prefer playing Zorga than anything in B, simply because you know you have a very decent game plan. You hit big. Prison Dragons are really cool. So yeah, I think that's where it should be. And then Rolla, I think Rolla probably should be D. I think Rolla actually should be D. Magnolia recently got some support, but I still don't think it's good enough. New Inlet is not bad. I think Grade 4 Magnolia is still better than Grade 3 Magnolia, even with the support. Some of the support still benefits Grade 4 Magnolia as well. And yeah, I still don't think it's that good. Right? I would probably consider a lot of these other B tier decks over Magnolia. So yeah, I think that is where it should be. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, except for Flagberg. You guys thought I forgot? Oh, Leonorn as well. All right, so let's kind of talk about these. So Leonorn is a C tier deck. It did get some recent support, and I still don't think it's like if we think about the support that would I prefer to play Leonorn over Dredge? And I think the answer is no. Right? I think the answer is no. Actually, no. I think maybe no. I think it's kind of the same. You can kind of rush with Leonorn. That's the thing. You can rush with Leonorn, and you have the extra attack now. So okay, I'll put it at B. I'll put it at B for now. And then Flagberg, I'll put it at A. I'll put Flagberg at A. Flagberg is not a deck I would ever want to play, but it's also a deck I don't want to play against, and that is a sentiment that you'll find a lot of players, right? A lot of the good players would say that, because playing with Flagberg is quite annoying. And then you got the people who just stand Flagberg a lot, like Flagberg's the BTS of Vanguard, right? So yeah, I do think Flagberg is A tier deck, but I wouldn't put it at the same level as like A plus and S, even though it recently got some support. So yeah, I think that is the entire list. There is so much random stuff here that it confuses me, right? And again, there's a lot of lyrical stuff that I just don't think really matters, than weird things here. I guess none of these are in order, right? None of these are in order. I'll kind of go through them all again just to double check unless I want to change something. I think the only thing I would really change is the lyrical stuff, just because, like, it's like, yeah, all right. So, S tiers, we have the Ava, Overlord, Youthbeg, and Lutetia. I think 100% these are S tier decks. And then the A plus is the Gravidia, Seraph, and Yo, right? Shaman King Yo. So I think these are definitely solid picks. When I'm looking at like these 7 decks, these are all 7 decks I'll happily take to a tournament, right? Straight up, I'd be going tournament tomorrow, and I want to win it because there's a lot of prizes and money. Hey, these 7 are what I'm gonna pick. Then the A tier decks are like Bruce, Grade 4 Bruce, Baro, Bev Saga, Maha, Nirvana, Greedon. Let's move Greedon. I love Greedon. Super biased. Greedon, Michu, Zorga, and Flagberg. If I'm gonna order them slightly, I put Flagberg closer, right? Like, Flagberg is probably better than a lot of these. Nirvana as well. Baro as well. You know, I actually would put these 2 at the lower end, right? And then for B tier, we've got Tamiyura, Orfist, Bruce, Grade 3 Bruce, Bejeweled, Bastion, Figure. I don't know. Is Kyorka really a B tier deck? I actually think we should move. I think we should move Kyorka down a bit. I actually think this is more correct, right? And then we have the Leonorn. Leonorn, I'll give Leonorn, right? It at least makes multi-attacks, and you can rush with the deck, hit big. Yeah, so at least there's that. C tier, we have Heroes, Eugene, Chaos, Graham Grace, Hexa Orb, MLB, PBO. I actually do think PBO is slightly better than a lot of these decks, but it's definitely not a B tier deck, like straight up. Kyorka, Hazelite, I don't even know it. It's like Meldu? Well, I don't know. It starts with an M. And Grade 4 Magnolia. right? And then in the saddest tier of all time, we have Welstra, Jiva, and Giant. I don't know the giant girl's name. She's so irrelevant. And then Roa, right? So that is it. Actually, I just realized I missed one deck, and that is Kyrie, right? Grade 4 Kyrie. So this one is weird. Before, it used to be like S tier, I think, like one of the best decks in the format, but I think it's like dropped off quite a bit. Just because there's like way better decks now. Like S tier is definitely way better. So I actually think probably Kyrie is like an A+ deck. It has, we got some new toys of Yuika. It still does the multi-attacks kind of things. But it's like, in a way, Ava does what it wants to do, but like better, right? They both kind of want to grind out the game. And like, instead of a triple drive, Ava gets like a top X check, but then Ava also gets like some nice orders that lets it play around things, and is also not reliant on having like a Kyrie install, which is relevant in some matchups like the Seraph matchup, for example. So overall, I feel like, you know, it's kind of similar, but Ava's just definitely better. And then like Kyrie, Grateful Kyrie is kind of better than, I feel like Kyrie is better than a lot of the A tier decks still. So it has to stay in A+. I guess it has to stay in A+. It feels like the old kind of top tier decks kind of things kind of just moved down a tier and made way for the new kids on the block. So yeah, I think this is right. Let me know in the comments if you think it is correct, if there's some changes. I'm sure always when I make these tier lists, there's always complaints how X should be higher, X should be lower, right? But hey, this is me, right? If you guys want to see like where I am, look at Fuzzy Paradox's website. He just came out with this today, right? It's a great website. They've got a ranking section. Wow, look, it's Kai Chung in 3rd place. Yo, hey, gotta do the flex, right? But wow, Derek and Mark, disgusting. Look at these tops. But yeah, it's got a fun ranking page for players. They only rank the current BCS. It has decks, right? If you like decks, you can go check out decks. Right, it's sorted by rank as well, simply by like you know, how it's done at tournaments. This is the only tournament results, by the way. It has a list of all of them, and if they have the list, right, available, you can click on the deck log icon, and you can see, it even has a Twitter, right? It has a Twitter, so that's nice. Some of them aren't there, right? That's just how it is. But you can see a bunch. It even has the Japanese ones as well. Look at this. Nice, right? Nice. And then you can also separate it by tournament. So if you want to look at how the BCS has been going, whoa, look at this Gravidia with 15 top 8s. About first place, that Ava, oh wow, that's crazy. But you can also split it between all the different formats as well. So it's really cool. A lot of effort has been gone into this site, it looks like. Really nice to see, right? And Fuzzy has been the connoisseur of pie charts for the past year, right? Year or more, just gathering that data. So big props to him, and hopefully, you know, we're all benefiting from his efforts. So give him a clap, give him a follow on the on his Twitter, and just let him know. Appreciate him, right? Appreciate him. Again, let me know in the comments what you think of my tier list, and also just the giveaway is in the description as well. Get some free stuff, and I'll see you all tomorrow for top decks. All right, bye.